Hey guys, this is Shan Whitaker, and in this video I want to talk about how to do line side taps for solar. Over here you can see we have a utility meter and an MSP or a main service panel. It has a 200 amp main breaker and a 200 amp bus bar. It also has its own grounding system with a grounding electrode conductor or a GEC, and then two electrodes or ground rods that are at least 6 feet apart. We also have a 60 amp fusible disconnect and a combiner panel or an inverter depending on the type of solar system you have. Our solar system is a 50 amp solar system. So you can see we have 50 amp fuses with 8 wire coming off of them because number 8 wire is rated for 50 amps. With a 200 amp bus bar and a 200 amp main breaker, the most you could backfeed using the 120% rule would be 40 amps of solar, and you would have to install it right here at the furthest position away from the main breaker. But for a line side tap, you're allowed to tap as much as the service wires are rated for. Since our system is rated for 50 amps, a line side tap is a good option. To do a line side tap, you need to tap on the service conductors that run between the meter and the main breaker. If you were to tap downstream of the main breaker, it would be considered a load side tap or a load side connection. When connecting directly to the service wires or the utility wires, the code says it has to be rated for a minimum of at least 60 amps. So we've installed 6 wire and a 60 amp disconnect. Since we tapped upstream of the main breaker, the tap conductors do not have any overcurrent protection protecting them. So if something goes wrong, the transformer may trip. To try and make line side taps a little bit safer, on the 2020 code and earlier editions, they have a max of 10 feet of wire from the tap to the first point of overcurrent protection. In the 2023 code, they do not list a distance, but you can bet it's going to stay around 10 feet, and it's up to the authority having jurisdiction. When you tap upstream of the main breaker directly to the service lines, you're creating a brand new service. Over here we have the MSP with a 200 amp main breaker, and over here we have the solar disconnect with a 50 amp main breaker or fuses. This is one service and this is the second service. It's kind of like a fourplex condominium where you run one service line in, but it branches off to run 4 separate units. It's the same thing here. We have a bonding screw that bonds the grounds and neutrals together and its own grounding system. And over here we have the bonding screw that bonds the grounds and neutrals together and its own grounding system. We have a grounding electrode conductor that's ran down to the original grounding electrode conductor where it's irreversibly crimped. If you cannot find the original grounding electrode conductor, you can install 2 new ground rods, but it's frowned upon because it creates a ground loop. Finally, we have the equipment grounding conductor. It's the conductor that grounds the equipment, just like the name says. You can see it runs from the equipment grounding lug in the bottom of the 60 amp disconnect. It does not need to come directly off of the neutral bar. It's allowed to use the metal of the can to ground it, whereas the grounding electrode conductor does need to run and connect directly to the neutral bar. As soon as you install the bonding screw, you connect the neutral and grounds to the metal of the can, which grounds the equipment grounding lug, and which runs over and grounds the equipment. The equipment ground is allowed to be size number 10 in this scenario because it's based on the size of the fuses, where the grounding electrode conductor is based on the size of the conductors feeding it. But since we've connected to 2 ground rods, it's not required to be larger than size number 6. Thanks for watching.